The fog clung to the earth like a shroud, swallowing the world in whispers of decay. I was 15, restless in a nowhere town in Canada, where abandoned buildings were our only escape from boredom. With my friends, I'd explored crumbling houses and forgotten barns, chasing thrills in places time had left behind. But one place called to me, a shuttered mental hospital, its walls holding memories of my childhood daycare. Feel that pull, the way a forgotten place beckons, promising secrets you might regret uncovering. We set out to conquer it, 5 of us armed with flashlights and bravado, unaware that some shadows hide more than dust. The hospital loomed at the edge of town, its gates rusted, padlocked, daring us to trespass. Fog draped the air, thick and cold, muffling our laughter as we helped each other over the fence. Picture it. A group of kids, hearts racing, stepping into a world that doesn't want them. The playground came first, swings motionless, slides, chipped and faded. Our flashlights danced across the ground, revealing broken toys, dolls with missing eyes, Legos scattered like bones. The daycare wing was next, its glass doors shattered, inviting us in. We stepped inside, the air heavy with mold and something sharper, metallic, that stung my nose. Wood chips crunched under our boots, remnants of furniture long gone. I found a plastic container of crayons, their colors dulled, and bent to pick it up when a sound split the silence. A heavy crash from beyond a metal door leading to the psych ward. We froze, our beams converging on the door, its surface pitted with rust. Feel your breath catch, the way a single sound rewrites the night. My friend Brian, always the boldest, grinned, his eyes glinting with challenge. "Let's see what that was," he said, his voice too loud in the stillness. I hesitated, my gut twisting, but peer pressure won. We couldn't back down, not now. Have you ever followed a friend into danger, knowing it's wrong but unable to stop? The door groaned as we heaved it open, the hinges screaming in protest. The psych ward swallowed us, its hallways narrow, the air thick with dust and a sour tang I couldn't place. Our flashlights carved weak paths, revealing peeling paint and doorways gaping like wounds. The deeper we went, the quieter we became, our bravado fading. See it now. A place where light is a lie, where every step feels like trespass. The walls pressed close, the ceiling low, trapping us in a maze of decay. Brian led, his beam sweeping left and right, pausing at open rooms, empty beds, rusted, restraints, echoes of lives forgotten. I felt eyes on me, a prickle at my neck, but saw nothing. Then, faint at first, a sound drifted from ahead, soft, rhythmic steps, echoing through the concrete. We stopped, our breaths shallow, listening. The steps grew clearer, deliberate, then faded into silence. Brian pushed on, his jaw set, but fear flickered in his eyes. "Probably nothing," he muttered, but none of us believed it. We reached a larger room, the air rancid, heavy with rot. Smell it, that stench that claws at your throat, warning you to run. My beam caught something. A deer, its body splayed across the floor, guts spilling like a grotesque offering. Blood stained the concrete, fresh enough to glisten. One of us, gagged, retching, the sound sharp in the quiet. My stomach lurched, my mind racing. Who did this? Why here? Before we could speak, a whisper slithered from the corner, low and unintelligible. Brian's light snapped to it, illuminating a man. Feel your heart stop, the way reality fractures in a glance. He stood motionless, head bowed, his green t-shirt stained with dark smears, torn beige pants clinging to his legs. His bare feet were raw, cracked, and he twitched, a jerky motion that wasn't human. The whisper continued, a chant we couldn't decipher. We stared, time stretching into eternity, our beams trembling. Then he moved, his head lifting slowly, revealing a grin, wide, unnatural, teeth gleaming in the light. See his face, that smile that promises madness. You guys here for the feast? He asked, his voice soft but slicing through us like a blade. Panic erupted. We ran, our lights bouncing wildly, the psych ward a blur of shadows and fear. Picture yourself fleeing, the world closing in, his words echoing in your skull. The metal door was ahead, still open but heavy, resisting as we pulled. I glanced back, his silhouette framed in the dark, that grin the only clear thing in the chaos. 3 of us yanked the door shut, its weight sealing him inside. Or so we hoped. We stumbled into the daycare, collapsing against the wall, gasping for air. Feel that relief, tainted by the dread of what you've seen. The fog outside was thicker now, the hospital a hulking shadow. We didn't speak, just ran, leaving the building behind, our flashlights cutting through the mist. A year later, police found him during a routine search. He was a former patient, escaped from another facility, living off wildlife in the forest. His body was riddled with disease, his mind shattered, rumors swirling of a killing he'd done. Some monsters are real and they wait in places we dare to tread. The night was heavy with rain, the kind that drowns the world in its own despair. I was 21, living in a quiet suburb, my house a stone's throw from a small church whose steeple loomed like a silent judge. Pause. Feel the weight of that quiet, a town asleep under the storm. Raised Christian, I'd drifted from faith after Dad's death, the church a childhood memory of stiff pews and whispered prayers. Now it was just a landmark, its dirt road a shortcut to the parking lot behind, where a bus stop linked me to the city. Sink into that routine, a life carved by necessity. I'd climb the chained gate, a nod to the guard who knew my family, and catch my ride to work. Fear wasn't my companion. I'd faced late nights, dark streets, without flinching. Hold that, confidence fragile as it is. My job as a line cook at a hotel was grueling. Dawn starts and midnight finishes. The kitchen's heat my world. The church lot was my path, its asphalt familiar under my boots, the distant house lights my guide. Breathe in that familiarity, a lie you trust. But 3 months ago, that path became something else, a stage for a nightmare I can't shake. Feel that shift, the moment safety cracks. The church, once a backdrop, now haunts my dreams. Its lot a mirror reflecting something I can't name. Stand there, unaware, as the dark begins to stir. I didn't know then that the rain would bring more than floods, that it would summon something, waiting in the shadows. That Thursday, the air was deceptively calm, the starry sky a promise of peace. Stop. Feel the stillness, a world holding its breath. A storm was forecast, but I left for work without an umbrella. The church gate cold under my hands as I climbed over. Sink into that moment where danger feels far. My shift was brutal, the kitchen a windowless cage, grease and heat my companions. Breathe in that grind, a life of unseen labor. I wasn't at the buffet, no poolside view to break the monotony, just the clatter of pans and shouted orders. When I clocked out at 8 p.m., the world had changed. Streets were rivers. The city, choked by rain that had raged all afternoon. Feel that surprise your reality altered. Traffic crawled, buses stalled, a familiar chaos in my country. I dozed on the bus, my waterproof backpack, phone, wallet, spare shirt, knife set, my only comfort. Hold that resilience, a shield against the storm. By midnight, the rain returned, fiercer, the bus stuck. I stepped off, the church lot close, deciding to walk. Know that choice, a step toward the unknown. The gate was locked, the guard gone, likely sheltered in the church. I climbed over, the lot knee-deep in water, a dark mirror under the rain. See it now? A place transformed by flood. The distant house lights were faint. My memory of the dirt rode my guide. Stand there alone as the storm hides its secrets. I didn't sense it yet, but something was waiting, its presence a whisper in the rain. The water dragged at my legs, each step a battle through the flooded lot. Have you ever felt the world resist you, its weight unnatural? The rain was a curtain, its roar a dull hum, drowning all but my breath. Sink into that struggle, where solitude becomes a trap. I focused on the house lights, mere specks. The dirt road ahead my goal. Hold that focus, a thread of hope. Then a sound, sloshing, frantic, from the lot's far corner. Freeze with me, your pulse quickening. My eyes strained through the dark, the church's lights dead, the rain blurring all. A shape emerged, waist high in water, arms flailing, fists pounding the surface. See her now, a figure defying reason. Her long hair, her curves, marked her as a woman, her grunts low, animalistic. Feel that unease when human becomes other. She was 2 cars away, her chaos unsettling but distant. I'd seen strangeness before. City streets breed it, so I kept moving, glancing back. Breathe that caution, a warning ignored. She didn't notice me, her frenzy consuming her, the water rippling under her blows. Know that distance, a false safety. I reached the dirt road, mud sucking at my boots, the water ankle deep. Stand there, almost free but tethered by doubt. The woman was gone from sight, the lot's darkness swallowing her. I told myself she was lost, mad, no threat. Cling to that logic, brittle as it is. But the rain static hid something else, a presence I couldn't yet name watching from the flood. A splash behind me stopped my heart, softer than the rain but sharper. Stop. Feel the jolt, your world unraveling. I turned, the dirt road a tunnel of dark, and there she was, sprawled face first in the shallow water, motionless. See her now, a broken thing in the mud. My breath caught, guilt clawing at me. Could I leave her to drown in 6 inches? Hold that conflict, a choice you dread. She was 10 steps away, her outline faint. I hesitated, my knives heavy in my pack, fear rooting me. Sink into that paralysis, where instinct fails. Then she moved, her head lifting, eyes locked on mine, through the rain. Feel that gaze, a predator's claim. She didn't stand. Her hands and feet pressed the ground, her body low, crawling toward me. Freeze with me, terror seizing your soul. My legs failed, my mind screaming to run, but her speed was wrong, inhuman. Run with me, your life a fragile thread. I sprinted, mud tearing at my feet, her splashes close, her breath a coarse rasp, like coughing, chasing me. Hear her now, a sound from nightmares. A scream tore from her, raw, wordless, a pig's squeal of rage. Feel that sound shredding your sanity. Tears mixed with rain, house lights blurring, my shoes lost to the mud. Know that flight, where fear is all you are. I reached asphalt, houses near, my key fumbling from my pack. Stand there at the edge of salvation. I slammed the door, collapsing. The rain's roar my only sound. Breathe that escape, haunted by what follows. I woke in bed, the night a fog. My brother's voice filling the gaps. Have you ever lost time, your fear a thief? He'd found me sobbing at the door, knees buckled, unable to speak. See me now, broken by what I saw. Mom tried to comfort me, but I was mute, their questions unanswered. Feel that silence, a wound no one sees. Over breakfast, I told them. Her crawling, her scream, the chase. Mom called the village guards, their concern real but shallow. Know that disconnect when fear isolates you? My brother joked, unable to grasp the terror. I stayed home, a fever chaining me to bed, the rain's sound a torment. Sink into that. Trauma, a scar that breathes. The guards found my shoes, nothing else, no woman, no trace. Patrols increased, but the lot was empty. The storm's chaos their excuse. Stand there, where answers vanish. I can't walk alone now. My eyes scanning shadows, every noise a trigger. Feel that vigilance, a life half-lived. Rain is my enemy. Its patter her footsteps, her scream echoing in my dreams. Hear her now, always near, never gone. I'm healing, lights off at night, steps bolder, but her shape lingers, crawling in my mind's dark. See her now, a ghost you can't define. The worst is the unknown. What was she? Why me? Know that void, where your mind paints horrors. The church lot is no longer mine. Its flood a mirror for something I'll never understand. Feel that dread, a truth beyond reach. Some nights, I sense her, waiting, her eyes just beyond the rain. Last summer I stepped onto the grassy path behind my childhood home, the forest calling me like an old friend. The trees stretched endless, their branches whispering secrets I'd known since I was a child. But this time the woods felt different, alive, watchful, hiding something that would chase me out in terror, a bell ringing in my nightmares ever since. I was 19, home from university for the first time in a year, craving the solitude of the forest just outside our small town. Our house sat at the edge of a man-made lake, fed by a river that wound through miles of dense pines, splitting into streams like veins. One stream, a narrow ribbon of water, ran close to our backyard, and a path followed it part way before veering northwest. As a kid, I'd wander that path with my dad, cutting through thickets to reach the stream, then the river, and finally the lake. It was my escape, a maze of green where I'd never seen another soul in 18 years. That summer I went alone, my boots sinking into the soft earth, the air thick with moss and cedar. The path was overgrown, the grass reclaiming what was once clear, but I knew every turn, every shortcut. I planned a simple hike, follow the path to its sharp bend, cut through the trees to the stream, trace it to the river, and loop back. The forest was my sanctuary, its silence a balm after the noise of dorm life. But as I stepped under the canopy, the light dimming, a strange weight settled over me. The trees seemed taller, their shadows deeper, their whispers sharper. It's just nostalgia, I told myself, adjusting my backpack, the path stretching ahead. Yet deep down I felt it, a prickle on my neck like the forest was no longer mine. My first walk that summer was in the morning, the sun filtering through the pines, the stream's murmur a soft guide. I reached the path's bend after an hour, my breath steady, and cut through the underbrush, the branches clawing at my sleeves. The stream sparkled ahead, its water cold as I dipped my hands, the current tugging at my fingers. I sat on a mossy rock, the forest quiet save for the water's song, and let the peace wash over me. Then, from the north, a sound pierced the silence. A bell, clear and fervent, ringing in bursts, like a call from the wilderness. My heart skipped, my hands freezing in the stream. A hunting dog? I thought, picturing a collar with a bell lost in the woods. But the sound was wrong. Too heavy, too deliberate. Not the jingle of a dog's run, but a measured toll, like someone swinging metal with purpose. I stood wiping my hands and listened, the bell moving away, its echo fading down the stream. Curiosity pulled me forward, my boots crunching leaves, the stream my guide. I told myself it was nothing, a camper's gear maybe, caught in the Mio current. But the stream was too shallow, the river too far. It's a person, I realized, the thought chilling me, though I didn't know why. I kept walking, the bell silent now, the forest holding its breath. Then I saw it, a badger sprawled on the bank, its body limp, its head gone. The cut was clean, surgical, a knife's work, the wound crawling with maggots despite the freshness. The stench was faint, but the sight twisted my stomach. I stepped back, my eyes darting to the trees, the bell's echo still in my ears. Someone did this. The badger lay where I'd walked, where the bell had led me. I turned back, my heart racing, the forest no longer safe. Nothing else happened that day, but the bell and the badger clung to me, a warning I couldn't shake. A week later I returned, driven by a need to reclaim the forest, to prove it was still mine. The sky was heavy, rain threatening, and I left. At 6 p.m. my boots heavier with each step. I reached the stream in an hour, the river beyond, the air thick with the promise of a storm. As the sun set, rain began, a steady drum against the leaves, the forest blurring into shades of gray. I turned back, my head down, trotting through the open glades, the path a distant goal. Then, I collided with something heavy, the impact jarring, my bones. A sickly stench hit me, sweet and rotten, and I looked up, my breath catching. The badger, its body decayed, its head stitched to its paws with crude twine, hung from a tree, swinging in the rain. Green liquid dripped from its wounds, splattering my hair, my face. I gagged, my hands clawing at the slime, the rain mixing with the filth. My mind reeled. I passed here an hour ago. The badger hadn't been there, hadn't been strung up. Someone had done this, had known I'd return, had placed it for me to find. The forest spun, the rain deafening, and I heard it. Faint snaps like branches breaking, not from the storm but from something moving, watching. Panic surged, my legs moving before my mind caught up. I jogged, half running, the stream a blur. Beside me, the path too far. The rain muffled everything, my breath ragged, my heart a drum. Someone's here, I thought, the realization a blade in my chest. The bell came again, its toll cutting through the rain, closer now, relentless. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers slick, and dialed my dad, my voice trembling as I begged him to meet me at the path's western bend. Someone's in the forest, I gasped, running, the phone pressed to my ear. The bell rang louder, its rhythm a taunt circling me, the sound wrapping the trees like a noose. My hair stood on end, the rain soaking me, my lungs burning. The path was too far, the forest too vast, every shadow a threat. I stumbled, my boots catching roots, my breath a sob. My mom's voice joined my dad's on the phone, frantic, urging me to run. The bell grew, its toll a pulse, and then clear footsteps, heavy, deliberate, behind me. I didn't want to look, didn't want to know, but fear turned my head. There, at the clearing's edge, a figure stood, tall, cloaked in shadow, ringing the bell slowly, its metal glinting in the faint light. His face was hidden, but his stare burned through me, unyielding, predatory. My scream tore free, my legs pumping, the forest a blur of green and gray. I lied into the phone. "The police are coming," my voice breaking, hoping to scare him. The bell followed. It sounded a chain around my heart. I dropped my bag, didn't care, my phone my only lifeline. My legs moved on their own, survival driving me. The path a distant hope. My dad's voice broke through. "I see you," and I lunged toward him, his arms catching me as I collapsed, sobbing. The bell still ringing, fainter now. My mom in the car heard it too, her voice shaking on the phone. We sped away, the forest shrinking, but its grip remained. The car was a haven, its warmth a lie against the cold in my bones. We didn't speak, the bells echo a ghost between us. I never returned to that forest, its paths now a labyrinth of fear. At home I scrubbed the badger's filth from my skin, but the memory stayed, its head swinging. The bells toll, the figures stare. I saw him in my dreams, his bell a summons, his shadow waiting at the forest's edge. Years later, I learned others had vanished in those woods, their stories whispers in the town. The bell, the badger, the chase. They were mine, but not only mine. Something lives in that forest. Something that knows your steps, your fears, and waits for you to return. The morning light bled through my curtains, but the air in my room felt heavy, laced with a threat I couldn't name. I was a junior in college, living in a sleek apartment in the state capital, a city buzzing with life but shadowed by its rough edges. My roommate and I, two young women navigating independence, had chosen this place for its safety. Lit sidewalks, keyed entry, a secure parking lot. Feel that promise of security, the way it lulls you until it cracks. Our parents had strict rules, and this building checked every box, a fortress we thought untouchable. But safety, I learned, is fragile when trust erodes from within. We'd moved in with excitement, decorating our space with thrift store finds and string lights, our laughter echoing through the halls. My roommate was kind, if a bit carefree, and for months we thrived, balancing classes and part-time jobs. Have you ever shared a home with someone only to realize you don't know them at all? Trouble started when her boyfriend began staying over, his presence uninvited but constant. He'd sprawl on our couch, eat our food, leave dishes in the sink. I confronted her, demanding he contribute, split the rent, cover utilities, something. She balked, and he scoffed, refusing to flip burgers for his share. Instead, they devised a plan that shattered our sanctuary, leaving the back door leading to the fire escape unlocked so he could come and go without a key. Picture it. A door ajar, an invitation to chaos in a place you called home. I worked nights at a diner, my schedule rigid, my days a blur of lectures and exhaustion. That Thursday, I had a rare morning off, a chance to sleep in, to reclaim my body from the grind. My roommate and her boyfriend had left early, their absence a relief. Feel that quiet, the way it wraps around you, promising rest until it betrays you. I burrowed into my blankets, the world fading to a soft haze, my door slightly open to catch the breeze. Around 10, a sound pulled me from sleep, the back door easing open, a faint shift in the air. I stirred, half-conscious, assuming it was my roommate forgetting something or her boyfriend sneaking in. I sank back into my pillow, too tired to care, the apartment's silence lulling me again. But then another sound, steps, slow and deliberate, moving through the living room. Hear it now, the way a stranger's presence rewrites your peace. Not the casual tread of someone at home, but cautious, testing the wooden floors. My eyes fluttered open, my heart quickening, but I stayed still, clinging to the hope it was familiar. The steps paused, then resumed, closer, each one a needle in my nerves. My door creaked, inching wider, and I felt it, eyes on me, heavy, invasive. Have you ever felt watched? Your body frozen while your mind screams to act? I lay there, breath shallow, my back to the door, every instinct urging me to stay still, to become invisible. A shadow loomed, the air shifting as someone entered my room. See it unfold, the way your sanctuary becomes a trap. I cracked my eyes, peering through lashes, and saw him, a man towering, his frame filling the space. He was broad, easily 250 pounds, his movements eerily calm as he unplugged my TV, its cords dangling like lifeless veins. My heart thundered, my body rigid, but I didn't move, didn't breathe too loudly. Feel that terror, the way survival hinges on a lie. He glanced at me, his eyes cold, assessing, but I shifted slightly, mimicking sleep, praying he'd believe it. He turned back, shoving the TV into a large bag, then grabbed my DVD player and a jar of change from my dresser. Each item vanished with a quiet efficiency that chilled me more than violence would have. He moved toward the door, his steps unhurried, as if he belonged here. Picture yourself helpless, watching a thief steal more than objects. Your sense of safety. The front door opened and closed, the apartment falling silent again. I sprang up, my legs trembling, and fumbled for my phone, dialing 911 as I locked both doors. My voice broke as I gave my address, hysteria swallowing my words. Feel that panic? The way it drowns you even after the danger passes. The dispatcher tried to calm me, but I could barely breathe, my eyes darting to every corner, expecting him to return. Police arrived in minutes, their voices sharp through the door. I hesitated, paranoid, until the dispatcher confirmed they were real. I opened the door and collapsed, my legs giving way, the world blurring. The apartment swarmed with officers, city and campus police, their radios crackling, flashlights sweeping. See the chaos? Your home now a crime scene. They found no trace. A forced entry, the back door's lock untouched, a silent accusation of our negligence. I recounted the morning, my voice shaking, describing the man, tall, heavy, methodical. Nothing else was missing, just my room's electronics and change, a violation so personal it burned. My roommate and her boyfriend arrived, their faces blank with shock, but their silence screamed louder. Feel that betrayal when those you trusted stand mute. I blurted out the truth. Someone had robbed us because of their carelessness. Her first question, "Is any of my stuff gone?" cut deeper than the theft itself. The police questioned them, but I barely listened, my mind replaying the man's eyes, his calm theft. Have you ever lost something intangible, something no one else sees? I called my boyfriend, packing to stay with him, unable to face the apartment's tainted walls. The investigation stalled. No suspect matched my description. No prints, no leads. My roommate and her boyfriend never apologized, never asked if I was okay, their indifference a final blow. I stayed with my boyfriend until the lease ended, 4 months later, each day a battle to reclaim my peace. Some wounds don't heal, they just teach you to lock every door, to sleep with a knife close by. The neon lights buzzed, casting a sickly glow over the bar where shadows danced with secrets. I was 24, carving out a life in Australia's underbelly, working at a place that thrived on adult desires. Pause. Feel the pulse of that world, where every smile hides intent. My job was to charm, to sell drinks and moments, my confidence a shield against the gazes that lingered too long. Sink into that role, a mask you wear. One night as my shift wound down, a man leaned in, his eyes glinting, offering to buy me a drink. Policy made me nod, my smile practiced as we shared expensive glasses, his words smooth but hollow. Breathe in that exchange, a game you know. His stare was heavy, stripping me bare, his lips curling into a grin that chilled my spine. Hold that unease, a whisper of danger. When he offered to walk me to my car, his voice too eager, I declined, my instincts sharp. Maybe next time, I said, slipping past our biggest bouncer, his bulk of fleeting safety. Feel that escape, fragile as glass. He didn't follow, and I drove home, the city's hum fading, my apartment a sanctuary. Stand there, safe, unaware of the trap. I thought it was routine, another night in a job that flirted with risk. Know that naivety, a lie you trust. But that man wasn't done. His grin, his gaze, were the first threads of a web I didn't see, one that would bind me in fear. A week off dulled the memory of his grin, but work pulled me back. Have you ever returned to a place sensing it's changed? The bar was the same, neon sweat, laughter, but a coworker's whisper shifted the air. Some guy's been here every night asking for you. Stop. Feel the jolt, your world tilting. I shrugged, thinking of tips, my greed blinding me. Cling to that hope, a lure you don't see. That night he appeared, his presence a stain on the crowd. See him now, his grin a secret weapon. I approached, my smile tight, as he bought another drink, his eyes locked on mine. His smile not lustful, but knowing, smug. Feel that chill when a stranger sees too much. I upsold, my voice steady, but his words were vague, his laughter sharp. Sink into that unease, a threat unspoken. After 30 minutes I tried to leave, but he gripped my wrist, his anger flaring, his voice low and venomous. Freeze with me, trapped by his hold. A bouncer stepped in, his bulk breaking the spell, and I slipped away, heart racing. Breathe that relief, fleeting as it is. But he didn't stop, following me through the bar, his shadow trailing, even nearing the staff-only door. Know that pursuit, a hunter's game. Another bouncer ejected him, but the air stayed heavy, his presence lingering. Stand there, watched, your safety a lie. I finished my shift, nerves raw, the bar's lights too bright, its noise too loud. Feel that vulnerability, a world no longer yours. He was gone, but I knew he'd return, his grin a promise I couldn't shake. I left the bar, the night air sharp, my car a beacon in the lot. Have you ever walked alone, feeling eyes on you? My keys jingled, my steps quick, but there he was, sprawled, on my car's hood, his grin a blade in the dark. See him now, claiming what's yours. How'd you know my car? I demanded, my voice steady despite my fear. Hold that defiance, a spark in the storm. He laughed, calling me sexy, his words, oily, demanding a ride. Feel that revulsion, his intent laid bare. I refused, my tone firm, but his smile twisted, his hand shooting out, gripping my arm. Freeze with me, his touch a violation. Get in, he hissed, his eyes wild. I reacted, my key stabbing his shoulder, his grip loosening. Move with me. Fighting for your life. I shoved him, his body hitting the ground, and dove into my car, locking the door. Breathed that panic, your heart a drum. He rose, fists pounding the window, his rage a force I thought would shatter glass. Hear him now, a beast at your door. I floored the gas, tires screaming, the lot blurring as I fled. Run with me. Freedom a fragile thread. 5 minutes down the road I stopped, hands shaking, and called work, warning the others. Know that duty, even in fear. Tears came, hot and unstoppable, the night's weight crushing me. Sink into that breakdown, a truth you can't escape. I drove home, the city a blur, my apartment no longer safe. Stand there, broken, his grin burned, in your mind. The next day, the bar's owner called, his voice kind, urging me to take time off. Have you ever been protected? yet felt exposed? I agreed, the man's grip still bruising my skin. Feel that echo, a wound that lingers. They lied to him saying I'd quit, but he returned nightly, his questions relentless. See him now, a shadow that won't fade. After 2.5 weeks he stopped, and I returned, desperate for cash. Breathe that relief, a lie you cling to. Work felt normal, same crowds, same tips, but something was off. Sink into that doubt, a crack in your world. At home, doors I'd closed were open, lights I'd turned off glowed, food misplaced. Hold that confusion, your sanctuary warped. I blame stress, my friend at work nodding, saying trauma plays tricks. Know that reassurance, a bandage on a wound. But the signs grew, keys moved, curtains shifted, my space no longer mine. Feel that paranoia, a truth you can't name. I checked locks, slept fitfully, his grin haunting my dreams. See him now, lurking in your mind's dark. A month passed, the bar's rhythm steady, but home was a maze of doubt. Stand there, lost, your reality fraying. I told myself I was fine, that fear was my only enemy. Cling to that denial, a shield that fails. But each night the house whispered, its silence a warning I ignored. Know that dread, when home becomes a cage. I didn't see it then, but he was closer than I knew, his presence woven into my life. One day I left for work, the bar's lights calling, but forgot clothes I'd need. Have you ever returned home, sensing it's no longer yours? 15 minutes out, I turned back, the house dark save for my room's glow, the TV's flicker visible. Stop. Feel the jolt, your world collapsing. I cursed my forgetfulness, stepping, inside the air too still. Sink into that quiet, a trap you don't see. I grabbed my things, switched off the light, the TV, and headed out. Breathe that routine, a lie shattered. Then I froze. He stood at the door, his grin a nightmare made flesh. See him now, a predator in your home. Time stopped, his eyes boring into mine, my scream erupting. What are you doing here? I yelled, words tumbling in panic. Feel that terror, your life unraveling. He spoke, his voice slow, chilling. Welcome home, honey. You're back early. Hear him now, claiming your world. Instinct surged. I threw my bag, clothes, everything, and bolted for the back door. Run with me, your heart a wildfire. I screamed, the street deaf to my cries, and hid in bushes, gasping, tears burning. Hide with me, broken by fear. My keys stayed, my phone lost in the chaos, but I crept back, diving into my car. Know that flight, a desperate salvation. I drove to work, told them, called the cops. They found no one, but my crawl space held his truth. Clothes, food, proof he'd lived there, watching. Feel that violation, your home defiled. I packed what I could, fled, left the state, my life erased. Stand there, a ghost, his grin your shadow. In the gray chill of late January, I lay in bed, the silence of our apartment heavy with the aftermath of a fight. My boyfriend, a teacher in a nearby town, was gone, our words from last night still burning between us. I thought I knew every sound of this place, the creak of the floor, the hum of the heater. But that afternoon, a stranger's footsteps shattered my world, and a hand with red nails left a shadow I can't escape. At 25, I'd built a life in this small city apartment, working from home while my boyfriend Mark taught high school 15 minutes away by train. Our place was modest. Wooden floors, a sagging couch, a kitchen cluttered with mismatched dishes. But it was ours, a haven from the world. Mark's schedule was predictable, home by 2:30 most days. his keys jangling in the lock a familiar song. That Tuesday, though, we weren't speaking. A stupid fight, something about dishes or bills I can't even recall, had left us cold. No texts, no calls, just a day of silence. I worked from bed, my laptop glowing, earplugs half in to block the city's hum, my mind replaying our argument. Mark's last class ended at 1 p.m., so I expected him soon, the awkward post-fight conversation looming. Around 1 p.m., the front door opened, the sound muffled but unmistakable, followed by a soft thud as it closed. He's early, I thought, my heart lifting slightly. Mark sometimes skipped his last class, a rare break from his routine. I stayed in bed typing, mentally scripting our reconciliation, waiting for him to shuffle in, change his clothes, break the ice. But as I lay there, the apartment's silence felt wrong, too thick, too alive. It's just him, I told myself, adjusting my earplugs, the laptop's hum a weak anchor. Yet a prickle crawled up my neck, like the air itself was watching. The minutes dragged, my eyes on the laptop, but my ears strained for Mark's familiar sounds. His shoes hitting the floor, the clink of his keys. Instead, I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate, pacing the living room beyond the closed bedroom door. I frowned, pulling one earplug out, the sound clearer now. The steps weren't Mark's brisk stride, but a measured tread, like someone testing the floor, exploring. My pulse quickened, but I pushed the thought away, blaming the fight for my nerves. He's just tired, I reasoned, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. The screen's glow harsh in the dim room. The footsteps continued, circling, never nearing the bedroom. I waited, expecting the door to open, Mark's sheepish smile to break the tension. But the steps grew slower, almost ritualistic, and a chill settled in my chest. Why is he taking so long? I glanced at the clock, 1:15 p.m. Too early, too strange. Then, the bedroom door creaked, inching open, a sliver of hallway, darkness seeping through. My heart lurched, my head turning, ready to offer an awkward smile, to bridge our fight. But the door stopped, barely ajar, and I saw it. A hand, pale, slender, gripping the knob, its nails painted a vivid blood red. Not Mark's hand, a woman's. My breath caught, my body frozen, the laptop sliding to my lap. The hand lingered, the nails gleaming under the faint light, then slowly pulled the door shut, the movement silent, deliberate. The latch clicked, and the footsteps retreated. Soft, but steady, back to the living room. I ripped out my earplugs, my hands trembling, my mind racing. That wasn't Mark. I scrambled out of bed, my bare feet cold on the floor, and stood there staring at the door, my heart a drum in my ears. His mom? His sister? The landlady? I clung to the idea, desperate for sense, but doubt gnawed at me. None of them had keys. None of them would enter unannounced. Who was in my house? I pressed my ear to the door, my breath shallow, listening for the footsteps. Silence answered, but it wasn't empty. It was heavy, charged, like the moment before, a scream. My hand hovered over the knob, trembling, urging me to look, to confront. I cracked the door, the hallway a tunnel of shadow, the living room beyond lit by weak daylight filtering through rain-streaked windows. I stepped out, my feet silent, my pulse roaring. The air was different, thick with a cloying floral scent like cheap perfume, alien in our home. The living room was empty, the couch undisturbed, the money jar by the entrance untouched, its coins glinting mockingly. My stomach twisted. Mark's mom doesn't wear perfume like that. His sister's never been here. The landlady, Mrs. Carter, always called ahead, her visits formal, announced. This was someone else. someone who didn't belong. I backed into the bedroom, slamming the door, my hands shaking as I twisted the lock. The balcony door beckoned, its glass streaked with January rain, a fragile escape. I stumbled onto the balcony, the cold biting my skin, the city's hum distant below. My phone was in my hand. Mark's number dialed before I realized, my voice trembling as he answered. "Mark, is your mom here? Your sister?" I whispered, the rain soaking my hair, my eyes on the bedroom door. "No," he said, his voice sharp, alarmed. "Don't move. I'm calling the police." The line went dead, and I stood there, shivering, the perfume scent still in my nose, the hand's image burned into my mind. A stranger was in our home. The rain fell harder, the balcony slick under my feet, and I waited, my heart racing, certain the door would open again, those red nails reaching for me. The police arrived in minutes, their boots loud in the hallway, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. I let them in, my voice shaking as I explained, the door, the footsteps, the hand, the perfume. They searched the apartment, their radios crackling, but found nothing, no one hiding, no signs of theft. "Everything secure," an officer said, his tone kind but skeptical. "No forced entry. Anything missing?" I shook my head, glancing at the money jar still full, the TV still mounted, my laptop untouched. "It doesn't make sense," I muttered, the perfume lingering, a ghost of the intruder. The officers suggested a neighbor, a prank, but their words felt hollow. Mark arrived, his face pale, pulling me close, his warmth a fragile shield. For days we convinced ourselves it was Mrs. Carter, snooping despite her rules. I worked from the couch, avoiding the bedroom, the door's memory too raw. We demanded new locks, and Mrs. Carter arrived with her husband, their tools clattering. As they worked, she paused, her finger tracing the keyhole. "Look at this," she said, her voice tight. A square patch around the lock was scratched, the wood scarred, like someone had pried it open with a tool. My blood ran cold. Someone broke. In Mark's voice broke the silence that night. "I need to tell you something," he said, his eyes avoiding mine. "Don't freak out, but the orange kitchen scissors are gone." My heart stopped. I tore through the kitchen, drawers spilling, my hands frantic. The scissors, bright, cheap, always in the top drawer, were nowhere. We searched every corner, every shelf, but they were gone, vanished like the woman with red nails. She took them. The apartment was never the same, its walls a cage of doubt, its silence a threat. We moved months later, the scratches on the lock a scar we couldn't erase. But the fear stayed, a shadow in every new home. I see her hand in my dreams, those red nails gleaming, reaching for the knob, the door creaking open to darkness. I smell her perfume, floral and sharp, in quiet moments, my heart racing, certain she's near. The scissors haunt me most. What did she want with them? Why take nothing else, not the money, not the valuables, just a blade? Mark holds me when I wake gasping, but he doesn't understand. No one does. Somewhere a woman with red nails walks, my scissors in her hand, her purpose a mystery that chills me still.
10 years ago, I thought I knew fear, until the night it found me, not in a dream, but in the flicker of a campfire, in the shadows that moved when they shouldn't. That night, the wilderness didn't just watch us, it hunted us, and I still wake up wondering if we ever truly escaped. My name doesn't matter, but the weight of that night does. I was 17, young enough to think I was invincible, old enough to know better. It was summer, the kind where the air hangs heavy with possibility, and my girlfriend, my friends and I decided to camp deep in the woods, far from the hum of our small town. Picture it. A clearing surrounded by towering pines, the ground soft, with needles, the sky a canvas of stars. We packed coolers with cheap beer, tents that smelled of mildew, and a reckless sense of freedom. 8 of us, a tight-knit crew laughing as we stumbled through the forest, our flashlights cutting through the dusk. You've been there, haven't you? That moment when the world feels like it belongs to you, when the dark is just a backdrop for your story. We set up camp as the sun bled out behind the trees, the sky turning bruise purple. The fire crackled, spitting embers into the night, and we gathered around it, passing stories and jokes, our voices loud to drown out the forest's silence. Feel the warmth of that fire, the safety it promises. But notice the edges, where the light doesn't reach. My girlfriend sat close, her shoulder brushing mine, her laughter soft and warm. The others, John, Mike, Sarah, and the rest, sprawled on logs, their faces glowing in the firelight. As the night deepened, the air grew cooler, sharper, carrying the scent of pine and something earthier, older. Smell it now. That faint tang of decay beneath the freshness, a warning you didn't heed. One by one, my friends drifted to their tents, their voices fading into snores. My girlfriend and I lingered, stealing moments in the quiet, our lips meeting in the flickering glow. Close your eyes and feel it. That electric rush of being alone, but not alone. The world shrinking to just you. 2. Then it came, a sound, soft but deliberate, like boots crunching on dry leaves. My heart skipped, but I laughed it off. "John, you idiot," I muttered, thinking he was pranking us. I unzipped the tent flap, peering out, expecting his grin. Instead, I heard him snoring in the next tent, loud and unmistakable. Stop here. Let it sink in. The moment you realize the world isn't what you thought. In the firelight's dying glow, I saw them. 2, maybe 3 figures standing near the fire pit, their shapes blurred by shadow. One held something, its outline glinting like an axe. See them now. Those strangers who don't belong, their silence louder than any scream. My stomach twisted, a cold knot of dread. I zipped the flap shut, my hands shaking, and leaned close to my girlfriend. "There's 2 or 3 guys out there," I whispered, my voice barely steady. Her eyes widened, her breath catching, and I felt her fear mirror mine. "You'd hold her closer, wouldn't you? Try to be the hero you're not sure you are." I grabbed my phone, texting the group. "Guys, strangers by the fire, wake up." One by one they replied, their words sharp with alarm. We huddled in John's tent, 8 of us whispering, our breaths fogging in the cool air. Feel the tension, the way it binds you, the way it makes you bold. We outnumbered them, 8 to 3 at most, and we'd been training in martial arts 4 times a week for years. "We confront them," Mike said, his voice firm. I nodded, my jaw tight, though my heart pounded like a drum. Step into that moment, the choice that changes everything. We stepped out, flashlights slicing through the dark, our footsteps loud against the forest floor. The men were still there, average in size, their faces hidden in shadow. The one in back gripped his axe, its blade catching the fire's last embers. Look into their eyes. Or try to, because there's nothing there, just voids where souls should be. "What do you want?" I called, my voice steadier than I felt. They didn't answer, just shifted, their movements slow, deliberate. Listen to the silence, how it screams louder than words. Then it happened, a scream, her scream, piercing the night like a blade. My girlfriend. I spun, my flashlight catching a 4th man dragging her from our tent, his hand clamped on her arm. Feel the rage, the helplessness, the need to act. I ran, my feet pounding the earth, and tackled him, knocking him to the ground. He scrambled up, his eyes wild, and the world exploded into chaos. Fists flew, grunts filled the air, our training kicking in as we fought. You're in it now. The blur of violence, the taste of blood and fear. We were better, faster, our years of sparring giving us the edge. 8 against 4, we drove them back, their blows weak against our fury. Let me pause here, take you somewhere else. My sensei once told me a story, late after class, his voice low. He'd camped in these woods as a kid, seen lights in the trees, heard voices that weren't human. Some places, he said, don't want you there. They send things to drive you out. I'd laughed then, but now in the heat of the fight, his words clawed at me. What were these men? Drifters? Or something worse? Sent by the forest itself. We had them beaten, their forms crumpling under our blows. Run now, run while you can. We sprinted for the cars, keys jangling, our breaths ragged. But as we reached the clearing, one of them lunged, a knife flashing in his hand. He grabbed my girlfriend's ankle as she passed, the blade slicing into her calf. See it in slow motion. The blood, her cry, the way your heart stops. Mike was closest. He kicked the man's face, sending him sprawling, and scooped her up. She clung to me, her arm around my neck, her blood warm against my skin. Carry her. Protect her. Don't let go. I drove her to the hospital, the road a blur, her hand gripping mine. The others scattered home, safe but shaken. Doctors stitched her up, said she'd be fine, but the scar remains, a jagged reminder. Touch it now, that scar, and feel the night it was born. We're still friends, all 8 of us, bound by that night. But I lie awake sometimes, my mind circling back to the fire pit, to those men who came from nowhere. What if we'd slept, drifted, off in each other's arms? Would we have woken at all? The forest keeps its secrets, but I feel them still in the quiet moments, in the shadows that flicker just beyond my sight. They're out there, waiting, aren't they? For the next fire, the next laugh, the next moment when you think you're safe. My name echoed through the forest, but it wasn't my voice. It was a twisted, wailing mockery, dragging my words into something not human, calling my dog from the shadows. I stood at my doorstep, heart pounding, as the woods stared back, alive, with something that knew me too well. Have you ever heard your own voice turned against you, stripping away every sense of safety? I'm Sid, a guy who's called a small house at the edge of a forest home for years. At 6'7" with long curly hair, I'm hard to miss, but I prefer the quiet company of my 3 dogs. Diego and Rocket, massive mastiff mixes with hearts as big as their paws, and Boogie, a black pug who thinks he's their equal. The forest behind my place is my escape, a maze of trails where I walk them daily, letting the world fade into the rustle of leaves and the scent of damp earth. It's where I feel most myself, or at least it was. That day started like any other. The sun hung high, not a cloud in sight, a gentle breeze carrying the promise of a perfect afternoon. I clipped collars onto Diego, Rocket, and Boogie, their tails wagging as we set off down my favorite trail. The forest welcomed us, its canopy filtering golden light, the air alive with birdsong and the crunch of gravel under my boots. Diego and Rocket bounded ahead, sniffing every root, while Boogie toddled behind, yipping at squirrels. I grinned, breathing in the pine-scented freedom, unaware the woods were about to turn on me. Halfway down the trail, the dogs froze. Diego's ears twitched, Rocket's hackles rose, and both stared into the thicket, their bodies tense. I tightened, my grip on their leashes, scanning the trees for a deer or coyote, but saw nothing. Then, a heavy crash echoed from the undergrowth like a branch snapped under immense weight. Diego and Rocket erupted, their barks deep and furious, yanking me forward. My knees hit the dirt, pain shooting through me as I was dragged a few feet, Boogie's leash tangling, sending him tumbling. I scrambled up, heart racing, and tugged them back. "Enough!" I snapped, brushing dust from my jeans. Boogie whimpered, unhurt but shaken. His big eyes locked on me. I checked him over, my hands trembling, and glared at the forest. Nothing moved, no rustle, no shadow. The dogs calmed, but their ears stayed pricked, their gazes fixed on the trees. I shook it off, chalking it up to a spooked animal, and we pressed on, the trail leading us to a wide pond shimmering under the sun. I unclipped their leashes, letting Diego and Rocket plunge into the water, their splashes rippling across the surface. Boogie darted along the shore, barking at their antics, and I sank onto a log, the warmth of the day easing my nerves. An hour passed, the forest's hum lulling me into a false sense of peace. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows, I called them back, and we retraced our steps home. The breeze had faded, the air growing heavy, and the birds had fallen silent. A prickle ran down my spine, like eyes boring into my back, but I pushed the thought away. Dusk settled as we reached the house. I unlocked the door, the dogs bounding inside, their bowls already filled by automatic feeders. I heated a bowl of spaghetti bolognese, the rich aroma filling the kitchen, and ate slowly, savoring each bite. After washing up, I sprawled on my bed, firing up NBA 2K22 to unwind. The dogs curled up nearby, their snores a familiar comfort. Hours later they stirred, nudging me to take them out one last time. I groaned, pausing the game, and led them to the backyard, the forest now a wall of darkness beyond the porch light. Diego and Rocket did their business, but Boogie was gone. I'd sworn he'd followed me out, his little paws pattering behind. "Boogie?" I called, my voice sharp in the quiet. No answer. Panic surged, my chest tightening as I swept the yard with my flashlight, its beam slicing through the gloom. Diego and Rocket froze again, their heads snapping toward the forest. Their growls rumbled low, eyes locked on something I couldn't see. My pulse hammered, Boogie's absence a knife in my gut. "Boogie, come!" I shouted, desperation creeping, and then a sound behind me, a frantic scrabble at the door. I spun, my flashlight catching Boogie, his tiny body pressed against the glass, eyes wide with terror. Relief flooded me, but it died fast. Diego and Rocket advanced toward the forest, their growls deepening, hackles up. I grabbed Boogie, clutching him to my chest, and called the others back. As I reached the porch steps, a voice tore through the night. A wail, long and distorted, mimicking my call. "Boogie!" It wasn't me. It was wrong. Stretched into something inhuman, echoing from the trees like a curse. My blood ran cold. I stumbled inside, slamming the door, my hands shaking as I locked it. The dogs piled into my room, and I shut that door too, my breath ragged. Heavy footsteps thudded up the porch steps, each one shaking the floorboards. Something massive struck the door, the wood groaning under the force, followed by a high, childlike laugh, twisted, unnatural, like a mockery of joy. My heart pounded, sweat beating on my forehead as I gripped the doorframe, praying it would hold. Then, as suddenly as it began, the footsteps retreated, fading into the forest's silence. I didn't sleep that night. The dogs pressed against me, their warmth the only thing keeping me sane. The voice haunted me, looping in my mind, a violation of something deeply personal. Old stories from the locals surfaced, tales of skinwalkers, creatures that wore the voices of those they hunted, lurking at the edges of human spaces. "They know you," an elder had warned me once, "and they use what you love against you." I'd laughed it off then, but now I believed. I still live in that house, Diego, Rocket, and Boogie by my side. I walk the trails, but never at dusk. My flashlight always ready, my senses sharp. The forest feels different now, its peace a mask for something older. hungrier. Have you ever felt the world you know slip away, replaced by something that knows you better than you know yourself? That voice is with me always, a shadow I can't shake, waiting in the trees for the moment I let my guard down. Some nights I still see it, those teeth, too sharp for any creature of this world, glinting in a smile that wasn't meant for me. The forest holds secrets it doesn't want to share, but that day, it showed me one, and I've been running from it ever since. My name is Raina, and I've always loved the woods. They were my sanctuary, a place where the world's noise faded, where I could breathe. Ella, my best friend, didn't share my obsession. Picture her, hesitant, her eyes darting to every shadow but following me anyway because that's what friends do. We were teenagers, restless, craving adventure. So one crisp afternoon we set out to find the perfect spot to camp in the forest behind my house. Feel it now, that thrill of stepping into the unknown, the leaves crunching under your boots, the promise of a night under the stars. The forest was alive, sunlight filtering through the canopy, painting the ground in dappled gold. We hiked for hours, laughing, our backpacks heavy with gear. Smell the pine, the damp earth, the freedom of being young. Finally we found it, a clearing by a stream, the ground soft with moss, the trees forming a natural wall. Close your eyes and see it, a haven carved from the wild, yours for the taking. Ella hesitated, her brow furrowing. "Something feels off," she said, her voice low. I brushed it off, chalking it up to her city girl nerves. You'd do the same, wouldn't you? Ignore the warning. Chase the dream. We pitched our tent, the nylon snapping in the breeze, and for a moment, everything was perfect. As dusk settled, the forest changed. The light dimmed, shadows stretching like fingers across the clearing. Notice it now, the way the air thickens, the way the birds stop singing. We needed firewood, so we ventured out, our flashlights bobbing in the gloom. My phone buzzed. My brother checking in. "Where are you?" he asked, his voice warm, familiar. "Camping in the woods," I said, grinning. But then, silence. Listen to it. That pause, heavy with something wrong. When he spoke again, his voice was wrong, warped, like a record played too slow. "Be careful," he said. But it wasn't him, not really. Feel the chill, the way it crawls up your spine, the way you know something's listening. I hung up, my hands trembling. Ella looked at me, her eyes wide. "What's wrong?" she asked. I couldn't explain, but the forest felt different now, like it was holding its breath. "You'd want to run, wouldn't you? But you'd stay because you're stronger than that. Let's go home," I said, my voice barely steady. Ella nodded, her relief palpable. We started back, our footsteps loud in the quiet, the stream's murmur our only guide. Hear it, the water, soft but insistent, like it's trying to tell you something. We were halfway home when we saw it, a shape by the path curled in the underbrush. Stop here, let your eyes adjust, see the outline of a dog, too still, too wrong. It looked like a German shepherd, maybe a sheepdog, its fur matted, its body motionless. Ella, ever the animal lover, gasped. "It's hurt," she said, stepping forward. Feel her compassion, her need to help, the way it pulls her closer. I grabbed her arm, my instincts screaming. "Wait," I said, but she shook me off, her flashlight, trained on the creature. The forest went silent. Listen now. Not a rustle, not a breeze, just a void where sound should be. I knew that silence. It meant danger, a predator nearby. You know it too, don't you? The way the world holds its breath when something's watching. "Ella, back up," I said, my voice sharp. She froze, inches from the thing, and then it hit me. A smell, rancid, like rotting meat left in the sun. Breathe it in. That stench, thick enough to choke you. My stomach churned and Ella gagged, her hand flying to her mouth. Then it moved. Watch it, slow at first, unnatural, like a puppet pulled by strings. The creature stood, not on 4 legs, but 2, rising like a man. See it now, taller than it should be, its fur clinging to a frame too lean, too wrong. It turned, and I saw its face. A smile, human but not, its teeth glinting sharp as knives. Feel your heart stop, your blood turn to ice, the moment you know it sees you. Its eyes locked on mine, dark and endless, and it lunged. Run, Raina, run! I screamed. Ella, go! Shoving her toward the path. Feel the panic, the way it burns through you, the way it makes you alive. We bolted, branches clawing at our faces, the forest a blur of shadow and fear. I glanced back, expecting those teeth, that smile. But the path was empty. Or was it? What if it's still there, just out of sight? Ella, stubborn Ella, veered toward our camp. My stuff, she yelled, disappearing into the dark. I didn't. Stop. My legs carrying me home, my breath ragged, my mind screaming her name. Let me take you back to a story my grandfather told me. He was a hunter, knew these woods better than anyone. One night, he saw a dog by his fire, its eyes too human, its smile too wide. He fired his rifle, but it was gone, leaving only a smell of death. Some things wear familiar faces, he said, to get close. And now, here I was, running from the same face, the same lie. I reached home, slamming the door, my hands shaking as I dialed Ella's number. No answer. Feel the guilt, the fear, the way it eats you alive. I called my brother. His voice normal now, but it didn't calm me. Hours passed, my tears soaking the phone, my voice hoarse from calling her name. Hear it, the silence on the line, the way it mocks you. Then, a text. Ella, safe, home. Relief flooded me. But when I asked why she went back, she wouldn't say. What did she see, Raina? What did she leave behind? I never told anyone. Not until now. Keep it close, this secret, because some truths are too heavy. The woods aren't mine anymore. I walk their edges, but I don't go deep. Not where the silence waits, not where that smile might find me. The darkness beyond the firelight burned with 2 red eyes, glowing like embers from a nightmare. They stared at us, unblinking, from the edge of the forest, where something massive stirred, its presence shaking the ground we stood on. I was 10, surrounded by family, but in that moment, we were prey. Have you ever seen eyes that aren't human, yet know they see every fear in your soul? I'm Mike, and in the summer of 2003, just before my 11th birthday, my world changed. My family gathered at my aunt's house near Tinkler Lake, Oklahoma, a place where dense forest swallowed the horizon. The air was warm, thick with the scent of pine and charcoal, as we set up for a cookout in her front yard. 8 of us were there, my grandparents, 2 aunts, 2 cousins, my sister and me, laughing under the stars, a radio blaring classic rock. The fire crackled, casting flickering shadows, and for a moment, life felt perfect. Beyond the glow of our security light, about 30 yards away, stood an old hen shack, its wood weathered and sagging. It had been abandoned for 4 years, ever, since someone, or something, broke in, scattering feathers and leaving claw marks on the walls. My uncle swore he'd seen a hairy, human-like figure sprint into the forest afterward, 70 yards away, followed by a stench like wet fur and rotting flesh. We kids shivered at his story, but the adults brushed it off. saying he'd had too much whiskey. Still, the shack loomed in my mind, a silent warning at the edge of our world. We sang along to the radio, passing plates of burgers and chips, the fire's warmth chasing away the evening chill. My sister and I swapped jokes, my cousins tossing sticks into the flames, their sparks swirling like fireflies. Around 9, the night settled heavier, the forest's hum of crickets fading. Then, a sharp thud echoed from the hen shack, like wood struck by a heavy fist. We froze, glancing at each other. "Probably a branch," my older aunt said, her voice too quick. We nodded, wanting to believe her, and turned back to the music. But the thuds didn't stop. They grew louder, rhythmic, shaking the shack's frame, drowning out the radio. My heart quickened. The fire's warmth no longer enough. My older aunt switched off the music, plunging us into silence, save for the relentless pounding. My youngest, cousin, eyes wide, darted into the house, returning with a flashlight and his brother's .22 rifle. "What's out there?" my sister whispered, clutching my arm. I didn't answer, my gaze fixed on the shack where shadows danced in the faint security light. The pounding stopped after 3 agonizing minutes, leaving a silence so thick it pressed against my chest. My cousin swept the flashlight across the shack, its beam trembling. Then we saw them, 2 red eyes glowing like coals, staring from the darkness just beyond the light's reach. A massive shape shifted, its arm rising to shield its face, hiding features we couldn't grasp. My breath caught, my body rooted to the ground. Have you ever felt time slow, every second stretching into eternity as fear takes hold? Before anyone could speak, a sound tore through the night. A howl, deep and primal, vibrating in my chest like a drum. It wasn't a wolf, wasn't anything I knew. It was raw, ancient, a warning that made my ears ring and my hands fly to cover them. My younger aunt gasped, her face pale, while my grandpa sat calm, his eyes distant, as if he'd heard it before. He'd told me stories of creatures in these woods, things older than the lake, neither man nor beast. "They don't want trouble," he'd said, "but they claim what's theirs." The howl faded, replaced by a low growl that seemed to rise from the earth itself. My older cousin raised the rifle, firing a shot into the sky. The sound stopped, but the creature struck the shack 4 more times, each blow shaking the ground. He fired again, this time toward the shack, not to hit but to warn. The eyes vanished, and heavy footsteps thundered into the forest, the vibrations pulsing through my feet. Leaves rustled, branches snapped, then silence swallowed everything. We didn't wait. We doused the fire, gathered our things, and split. Up to our houses, my grandparents, sister and I hurrying down the stone steps to their place, my cousin watching our backs. We barricaded ourselves in the dining room, couches pushed against the doors, keys clutched in case the creature came for us. Sleep didn't come. The memory of those eyes burning in my mind, the howl echoing in my ears. Morning brought no answers, only questions. My younger aunt fainted years later when we played the Sierra recordings, Bigfoot howls from California, her reaction confirming what we'd felt. The shack still stands, the forest unchanged, but I've never walked near it at night. Locals whisper of things in the woods, guardians or monsters, watching from the shadows. Respect their ground, they say, and I do. That night taught me the forest isn't ours, and those eyes still haunt me, waiting for the day I forget. Some places don't belong to us, no matter how long we've called them home. That summer of 2003, I learned it the hard way, not in a story, but in the stench that choked me, in the eyes I never saw but felt, burning into my back. The forest, near Tinkeler Lake, wasn't just wild, it was alive, and it wanted me gone. My name is Mike, and I was 11 that year, still shaken from the night the hen shack shook, when something massive howled and vanished into the trees. Picture it. A boy, on a bike, pedaling down a curvy road, the forest looming like a wall of secrets. It was early fall, the air crisp with the promise of school and new beginnings. New neighbors had moved in, their house a half-mile down the road, and I was curious. Feel that pull, the need to know who's sharing your world, the innocence of youth. I rode my bike, the tires humming on the asphalt, unaware that the forest was watching. The road was a snake, twisting through pines and oaks, the lake's shimmer just visible through the trees. Smell it now, the water's tang, the earth's damp breath. I was near our driveway when a voice cut through the quiet. "Are you lost?" it called, friendly but unfamiliar. I turned, spotting a kid my age, his hair tousled, standing by the road. See him, a stranger who could be a friend the moment before everything changes. Before I could answer, a bark shattered the air. 2 Rottweilers, massive and mean, charging from the woods. Hear them, their growls like thunder, their paws tearing the earth. "Run!" I yelled, fumbling to mount my bike, my foot slipping. Off the pedal. The kid froze, then bolted, his sneakers pounding the dirt. "Follow me!" he screamed, glancing back as the dogs closed in. "Run with us, feel your heart race, the fear that drives you forward." I pedaled hard, the wind stinging my eyes, but then, stop, notice it, the sudden quiet. The dogs stopped, their barks turning to whimpers, their tails tucked as they fled back into the trees. What scares a predator, Mike? What's stronger than teeth and claws? I skidded to a halt, my breath ragged, and then it hit me. A smell, foul and thick, like a corpse left to rot in the sun. Breathe it in, that stench, heavy enough to choke you. The kid wrinkled his nose. "Did you fart? That smells dead," he said, half laughing. Feel the shock, the way his words jar you, the way they don't fit the fear. I couldn't speak, my body frozen, a primal dread washing over me. You know this feeling, don't you? The moment you're prey, not hunter. "Are you mute or deaf?" he asked, his voice sharper now. "Neither," I managed, forcing the words out, my eyes scanning the trees. "Look closer. See the shadows shift, the branches too still." "Let's go," he said, tugging my arm, and we walked, my bike wobbling beside me. His name was BB, I learned, and his house wasn't far. Walk with us, feel the road under your feet, the forest pressing closer. The stench faded, but the unease lingered, a weight in my chest. You'd keep moving, wouldn't you? Pretend it's fine, even when it's not. My watch beeped, a reminder of dinner waiting at home. "I gotta go," I said, my voice hollow. BB frowned. "Is it safe?" he asked, and I hesitated. "Think about it, Mike. The road back, the place where the dogs ran." "Can your dad give me a lift?" I asked, lying about being scared of the dark. "Admit it. You're scared of something, else something you can't name." BB's dad, George, was a broad man with a kind smile. See him, a lifeline in the dusk, his truck a shield against the unknown. "Half a mile?" he said, raising an eyebrow when I told him where I lived. I nodded, mentioning the dogs, and he agreed. Climb in, feel the leather seat, the hum of the engine. BB chattered about the stench, blaming a skunk, but George just nodded, his eyes on the road. Listen to the quiet, the way it lies, the way it hides what's waiting. We passed the spot where the dogs had run, and I held my breath, expecting. The smell, nothing. "Relax, Mike, it's gone, or is it?" They dropped me at my driveway, the gravel crunching under my bike's tires. Wave goodbye, feel the relief, the false safety. "Thanks," I called, and BB grinned, promising to hang out at school. I started up the hill, the forest to my left, the lake's glow fading in the dusk. Notice it now, the air shifting, the wind carrying something foul. The stench returned, stronger, curling into my lungs like smoke. Breathe it again. Let it fill you. Let it wake your fear. My neck prickled, the hairs standing straight, and I heard it, breathing, deep and rough, like a beast too close. Stop, Mike. Don't move. Don't look. A growl rumbled, low and guttural, vibrating through the ground. Feel it in your bones, the sound that says you're not alone. I took a step, and branches snapped, the sound sharp in the silence. Run now. Run before it takes you. My eyes stung, tears welling as I thought of vanishing, of never being found. You'd cry too, wouldn't you? The moment you know you're small, fragile, nothing. Then a roar, not the creature, but an engine. Hear it, the salvation, the scream of tires. My uncle's '84 Camaro tore down the driveway, its headlights blinding, its engine snarling. Get in, Mike. Get in now. I dove into the car, the door, barely closed as he floored it, gravel spraying. Look back, just once, see the shadow move. In the rear view, I glimpsed it, a massive shape, humanoid, vanishing behind a tree 5 feet from where I'd stood. See it now, too big, too real, too close. We screeched into the house, my uncle's face pale, his hands shaking. There were two, he said, his voice breaking. A big one, ready to grab you, and a smaller one behind. Feel his fear, his love, the way it saves you. I clung to him, tears falling, my heart still racing. Let me take you back, to a night my uncle told me about. He was young, fishing by Tinkiller Lake when the water went still, and a smell like death filled the air. Something watched him, too big to be human, too silent to be animal. He ran, never looking back, but the feeling stayed. And now, here I was, caught in the same gaze, the same hunt. The next day at school, BB laughed off my warning. Bigfoot? Not real, he said. But I saw the flicker in his eyes. Tell him, Mike. Make him see, because the forest doesn't care if he believes. I don't ride that road anymore. Not at dusk. Not when the wind shifts. The shadow stood at the edge of the forest, taller than any man, its form wrong under the moon's cold light. It didn't move, but I felt its gaze, heavy as a stone on my chest, pulling me into a fear I couldn't name. I was 10, my brother. Beside me, but in that moment, the woods we loved became a stranger's domain. Have you ever felt something watch you, knowing it's not human, yet it knows your every thought? I grew up in a house backed by acres of dense forest, a wild playground where my 3 brothers and I ruled as kids. At 10, I was the second oldest, trailing my 12-year-old brother, who led our adventures with fearless swagger. Our 8-year-old, twin brothers followed, their chatter filling the air. Those woods were ours, old logging trails snaking through towering pines, forts we built from fallen branches, trees we climbed to touch the sky. The scent of damp earth and pine needles clung to us, the forest's pulse as familiar as our own. One summer afternoon, we set out as usual, the sun high, its rays piercing the canopy in golden shafts. My older brother forged ahead, kicking stones along the trail, while the twins bickered over who'd climb higher next. I laughed, tossing a stick, for them to chase, the world bright and warm. The air carried the sharp tang of sap, the hum of insects a constant song. We were at home here, invincible in our kingdom of trees. Then, without warning, the forest changed. A wave of unease washed over me, cold and sharp, like stepping into a shadow no sun could touch. My laughter died, My steps faltered. My brothers stopped too, their voices fading as if silenced by an unseen hand. The woods fell quiet. No birds, no wind, just a heavy, suffocating stillness that pressed against my skin. I scanned the trees, expecting a deer or squirrel, but nothing moved. Yet I knew, deep in my bones, we weren't alone. Have you ever felt the air turn against you, whispering you don't belong? We stood frozen, eyes darting between shadows, the twins clutching each other. My older brother's face tightened, his bravado gone. The silence grew thicker, a presence lurking just beyond sight. Without a word, we bolted, crashing through underbrush, thorns snagging our clothes. My heart pounded, breath ragged, the forest blurring around us. We didn't stop until we burst into the backyard, the house a beacon of safety. We collapsed, panting, unable to speak, each grappling with the terror we'd felt. It should have been a childish scare, but the way we all sensed it, the way the woods turned alien, told us otherwise. Weeks later, we ventured back, testing our courage. The sun blazed, chasing away the memory of that day, and we convinced ourselves it was nothing. We pushed deeper than ever, 15 minutes from home, exploring a new trail thick with ferns. The air was warm, the forest alive with rustling leaves, and we laughed again, our fears buried. Then, it happened again. A heavy thud echoed through the trees, followed by another, like something massive moving fast. It wasn't a deer. Too loud, too deliberate. We spun around, but the forest stood still, no sign of movement. The sounds grew closer, branches snapping under unseen weight, the ground trembling faintly. My older brother's face paled, his eyes wide. "Run," he whispered, and we did, tearing through the woods, the noise chasing us. It was right behind, relentless, but no matter how fast we ran, we saw nothing. Panic consumed me, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. We reached the yard, collapsing in a heap, hands on knees, gasping for air. The forest fell silent again, as if it had never stirred. We stayed away for months, but kids forget, fear, or pretend to. We told ourselves it was an animal, maybe a prankster, yet the woods no longer felt like home. They were something else, something that didn't want us. One night, long after dark, my older brother and I sat on the back porch, the moon full, its silver light tracing the tree line. The breeze was gentle, the trees swaying softly, but a chill settled over me, like eyes watching from the dark. Then we saw it, a shadow, just beyond the first line of trees, taller than any man, its shape wrong, not animal, not human. It stood, still, a silhouette against the moonlight, its presence heavy, deliberate. My breath stopped, my brother's hand gripping mine. "Don't move," he whispered, his voice shaking. The shadow didn't stir, but I felt its gaze, piercing, knowing. Then slowly, it took a step forward, its form shifting in the light. We scrambled inside, slamming the door, locking it with trembling hands. My heart raced, fear choking me as we pressed against the wall, too afraid to look back. When we dared peek outside, the yard was empty, the woods quiet, but the feeling of being watched never left. We don't go into those woods anymore. Even now, years later, the memory chills me. The silence, the chase, that shadow. Locals tell tales of things in the forest, spirits or worse, guarding their domain. Leave them be, they say, and I do. Something was out there, and I fear it's still waiting just beyond the trees. The woods always called to me, a siren song of freedom and secrets, but that day, they whispered something darker, a promise I never should have followed. I saw him, standing in the shadows, his knife glinting like a predator's eye, and I knew some doors once opened never close. My name is Catherine, and I've always chased thrills. The rush of a ghost story, the shiver of a late-night dare. Picture it, 3 girls, young and fearless, laughing in the sunlight, unaware of the shadows waiting. Carissa and Avery were my best friends, my partners in every wild idea. We spent our days at Avery's house, its backyard spilling into a vast forest that felt like our own kingdom. Feel it now, the pull of the trees, the way they promise adventure, the way they lie. That afternoon we were restless, our imaginations hungry, when Avery dropped the bait. "There's a dead deer in the woods," she said, her voice casual but edged with something I couldn't place. Hear it, that subtle shift, the moment the world tilts. A dead deer wasn't strange, not out here, but her words twisted in my gut. "You'd go anyway, wouldn't you?" Curiosity is stronger than fear. We grabbed our jackets, our boots crunching on the gravel as we crossed into the forest. The air was cool, heavy with pine and damp earth, the canopy filtering the sun into slivers of gold. Smell it, the freshness masking something older, something watching. We followed tracks, hoofprints we thought, deeper into the trees, our laughter fading as the path narrowed. No deer, no carcass, just silence, thick and unnatural. Notice it now, the way the forest holds its breath, the way it waits. Then we saw them, smiley faces carved into bark, scratched into dirt, etched into patches of snow. See them, uneven, mocking, their grins too wide, too wrong. At first I barely noticed, but as they multiplied, my skin prickled, a cold sweat breaking out. "This is creepy," Carissa whispered, her eyes darting to the shadows. Feel her fear, the way it mirrors yours, the way it grows. We tried to laugh it off, blaming pranksters, but the air grew colder, the light dimmer. "Keep going, Catherine, just a little farther. See what's waiting." Against every instinct we pressed on, our footsteps muffled, the forest a maze of grins. Words stopped us, deer, scratched into a tree's trunk, its letters jagged, fresh. Read it again. Feel it sink in, a message meant for you. My heart pounded, my breath shallow. We stared, silent, waiting for someone to say it was nothing. You'd turn back now, wouldn't you? But you don't, because you're not alone. Farther, on another word. Kill, scrawled in the snow, its edges melting but sharp. Feel the ice in your veins, the truth you can't ignore. "We need to go," I said, my voice trembling. "Run, Catherine, run before it's too late." I turned, sprinting, Carissa and Avery behind me, our boots churning the snow. Pause here. Let me tell you a story. Avery's grandmother once warned us about these woods, her voice low by the fire. She'd seen a man, years ago, standing among the trees, his face hidden, a knife in his hand. "He didn't chase me," she said, "but he didn't have to." And now, here we were running from the same shadow, the same blade. At the forest's edge, I glanced back. "Don't look, Catherine, but you will. You always do." He was there, a man, old, gray hair matted, his plaid shirt torn, jeans ragged. See him, still as death, his knife catching the last light. His eyes met mine, empty, and my blood froze. "Faster!" I screamed, tears stinging my eyes, my legs burning. "Run harder, don't stop. Don't let him win." We burst through Avery's door, slamming it shut, the lock clicking like a prayer. Breathe now. Feel the safety. But no, it's a lie. Hours later, we crept to the porch, our breaths fogging in the cold. Look closer, see the paper, folded, waiting. My hand shook as I opened it. "I'll get you one day," it read. A smiley, face grinning beneath. "Drop it, Catherine. Let it burn your soul." Avery gasped. Carissa trembled. And I knew we'd never be free. The scream tore through the forest, sharp and inhuman, erupting from the shadowed shack we dared to approach. It wasn't a sound you hear. It was a sound you feel, clawing at your soul, freezing your blood. I was 12, just a kid with friends. But in that moment, the woods we thought we knew bared their teeth. Have you ever heard a sound that stops your heart knowing something impossible is coming for you? I'm Quillink, and 3 years ago, when I was 12, the forest I loved became a place I'd never trust again. My friends and I were typical kids drawn to the woods near our town, a sprawling maze of pines and oaks where we'd spend afternoons chasing thrills. That warm, sunny day, we set out to scare each other, laughing as we darted along overgrown trails, the air thick with the scent of sap and earth. The sun blazed overhead, casting dappled shadows, and we felt invincible, our voices echoing through the trees. As we wandered deeper, a faint sound drifted toward us, a low, mournful moan, like wind trapped in a hollow. "Just the breeze." "One," friend said, but I wasn't sure. The sound was too steady, too alive. We shrugged it off, our footsteps crunching leaves, until we stumbled upon a cluster of old shacks. One was rusted metal, another crumbling wood, but a third stood out, a tiny house, almost quaint, with a weathered swing and bench out front. It looked abandoned, yet oddly inviting, like it held secrets we were meant to find. Curiosity pulled us closer, despite the prickle on my neck. The moan returned as we neared, louder now, rising and falling like a wounded animal's cry. My friends exchanged glances, their grins fading. "Maybe we should go," one whispered. But I shook my head, drawn to the shack's dark windows. The sound grew, filling the air, then stopped abruptly, leaving a silence so heavy it pressed against my chest. My heart raced. The forest's hum, birds, insects, gone. Then a piercing cry shattered the quiet, high and raw, not animal, not human, but something else entirely. From the shack's doorway, a shape lunged, tall, impossibly thin, with long arms and legs that moved too fast, too wrong. Its head bore, something like antlers or maybe twisted branches, but I couldn't be sure. Its eyes glowed red, burning through the dusk. We screamed, bolting down the trail, branches whipping our faces. The thing was fast, its footsteps thudding behind us, gaining ground. Pain seared my leg as something sharp grazed it, blood trickling down my calf. I didn't look back, my lungs burning, fear driving me faster than I'd ever run. Night fell, the forest a tangle of shadows. We slowed, gasping, thinking we'd lost it. My leg throbbed, but the cut was shallow. We built a fire in a small clearing, its flickering light our only shield. "We're okay," I said, trying to believe it, but the woods felt alive, watching. We sat until 3 a.m., the fire's glow fading, when the moan returned, low and close. We leapt up, my knees buckling, the fire's dim light barely piercing the dark. Red eyes gleamed from the trees, then another pair to my left, 2 creatures now circling us. We ran, harder than before, the forest closing in. The creatures' footsteps pounded, branches snapping, their presence a weight on my back. I saw the forest's edge, a faint glow of streetlights beyond, and pushed forward, my friends beside me. We burst out, collapsing on the grass, hearts hammering. I turned, expecting to see those eyes, but the forest was silent. The creatures gone, as if they'd never been. 3 years later, I still feel them. When I take out the trash, when I glance at my window at night, I sense eyes in the dark, waiting. I told people, friends, family, but they call me crazy, saying it was a deer or my imagination. But I know what I saw, what cut my leg, what chased us. Old-timers in town whisper of things in the woods, spirits or worse, tied to the land. They don't leave, one said. They wait. I'm alive, but the fear lingers. A shadow I can't shake, wondering if those eyes will find me again. Some nights I still hear the screams, not in my ears but in my soul, a sound no child should ever know. At 12, I stepped into a darkness that wasn't just shadows. It was alive, hungry, and it marked me forever. That night, the forest didn't just hide secrets. It bared its teeth, and I've been running from them ever since. My name is a miniator, and I grew up in a village cradled by forests so dense they seem to swallow the sun. Picture it. Wooden homes scattered like forgotten toys, their chimneys curling smoke into a sky bruised by twilight. The trees standing sentinel, their branches clawing at the stars. The air was heavy with moss and memory, a scent that clung to your skin, promising stories older than the earth itself. As a child, I believed in ghosts, the kind from cartoons, all smiles and harmless pranks. But our village told different tales. Ones whispered in the glow of hearths, of rituals mistaken for weddings, of festivals where the laughter felt forced, the air thick with something unspoken. You'd believe it too, wouldn't you? The stories that wrap you in safety, even when they lie. My family were elders, their names spoken with reverence, their eyes holding secrets they'd never share. See them now, gathered at the long table, their voices low, dismissing the strange, lights flickering in the woods, voices carried on the wind as mere folklore. I was 12, fearless in the way only children are, my heart unburdened by the truths adults carry. That night, sleep abandoned me, my bladder urging me awake. The clock glowed 2:15 a.m., its red numbers a silent challenge. Step outside, a miniator. Prove you're brave. I pulled on my boots, the leather cold against my feet, and slipped into the night, the door creaking shut behind me. The air was wrong, thick as syrup, pressing against my chest like an invisible hand. Feel it now, that resistance, your body begging you to turn back. I ignored it, my breath fogging in the chill, the forest a black wall beyond our yard. The stars were sharp, but the moon was gone, leaving the world in shadow. Walk deeper, see what waits. I moved toward the trees, the ground soft with fallen leaves, each step a betrayal of the silence. Halfway there I froze, a flicker of light, distant, weaving through the branches like a will-o'-the-wisp. Look closer, let it pull you, let it show you what you shouldn't see. My heart pounded, a drum in my chest, but curiosity was stronger than fear. I crept forward, the forest swallowing me whole. The light grew, a fire's glow, and voices reached me, low, rhythmic, a chant that twisted the air. You're here now, aren't you? At the edge of something you can't unsee. I parted the branches, my hands trembling, and saw them. Figures in robes, their faces hidden by bird-like masks, beaks sharp as blades, like plague doctors from a nightmare. See them, their movements slow, deliberate, their silence louder than any scream. At their center was a man, bound in cloth like a mummy, his body writhing, his eyes, oh, his eyes, bulging with terror, the only part of him left alive. Meet his gaze, feel his plea. No, you can't save him. His screams tore through me, raw and desperate, a sound that clawed at my soul. The masked ones moved, their knives glinting in the firelight. Watch it. Slow and deliberate, the blade slicing flesh, blood pooling dark on the earth. One by one they severed his limbs, his cries fading to gasps, then silence. Feel your stomach twist, your legs weaken, the world unraveling. They stabbed, his chest, a sickening crunch, and with a final practiced motion, they took his head, the body slumping, lifeless. But the ritual wasn't done. They poured a liquid, black as tar, over the remains, its surface shimmering, unnatural, alive. Hold your breath, Aminiator. Don't let it see you. At first, nothing. Then a twitch, faint, like a dream's echo. The corpse jerked, its limbs spasming, a grotesque dance of death undone. You're trapped now, in the moment where life isn't. Life. I must have moved, my foot snapping a twig because a mask turned, its beak pointing at me like a hunter's arrow. Run, run before it claims you. Another stepped forward, a butcher knife raised, its blade stained red. Panic surged, a wildfire in my veins, and I bolted, the forest a blur of claws and shadows. Don't look back. Don't let it catch you. Branches tore at my face, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. I was the fastest runner in the village, but that night, speed wasn't enough. It was survival. The chants followed, faint but relentless, weaving through the trees like a curse. You hear them still, don't you? The words that bind you to that night. I reached home, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the door, the clock now reading 2:37 a.m. Lock it, hide, but no, it's still out there. I didn't wake anyone. Fear silenced me, their disbelief a wall I couldn't climb. I crawled into bed, my body trembling, my mind replaying the eyes, the blood, the twitching corpse. Lie. Awake, see it again. Let it carve itself into you. Sleep never came, the darkness a mirror for my terror. Morning brought no relief, only the weight of what I'd seen, heavy as the forest itself. I found my great-grandmother at dawn, her face a map of wrinkles, her eyes holding truths no one else dared touch. Tell her, Aminiator, let her carry your burden. In hushed whispers I spilled it all, the masks, the screams, the body that moved. She listened, her expression unreadable, her hands folded like ancient roots. A ritual, she said, her voice low. To birth spirits, not human, to give them flesh. Feel her words, their weight, the way they offer no comfort. I pressed, for more, but she shook her head. You're too young, she said. Forget it. Forget? How do you forget the face of death? Pause here. Let me tell you a story my uncle shared, years before, by the fire's glow. He was young, hunting, in these woods when he stumbled on a circle of stones, blood-soaked, surrounded by masked figures. They didn't see him, but something did. A presence, heavy, watching from the trees. He ran, the forest alive behind him, and never hunted again. And now, here I was, caught in the same web, the same gaze. You feel it too, don't you? The way the past echoes, the way it hunts. The village moved on, the elders' silence louder than any chant. I tried to forget, to bury it in the daylight, but the woods were no longer mine. I don't walk alone at night, not where the trees whisper, not where the masks might wait. You'd stay away too, wouldn't you? But what if they're still there, performing their rites, waiting for the next soul to wander too close? Some things once seen live inside you, a shadow that never fades. Close your eyes, Aminiator, but the darkness is theirs and it knows your name.